Hello, my name is Donna Limerick. I'm the daughter of May Reeves, the owner of this hat store, May's Millinery Shop. Today we're looking back into the life of my mom and how she made this business one of the most successful millinery stores in Philadelphia. She was born Lula Mae Grant in Vidalia, Georgia on October 29, 1912. After growing up in Georgia as a teacher, Mom came to Philadelphia in 1935, stayed here for a while, and went on to millinery school in Chicago. In 1941, Mom opened her first hat shop at 1630 South Street in South Philadelphia. Her hats, dresses, handbags were all the rage for the ladies in the area. My brother, William Mency, her child from her first marriage, grew up in her hat shop. In 1946, she married my dad, Joel Reeves. In 1941, she moved the business to her home in West Philadelphia. That was at 127 North 59th Street. At this home, 127 North 59th Street, she had a business and her home. It was also the place where my brother Reggie and I were born. By 1953, May decided it was time to move the business again. She found a little shop on 60th Street. The exact location, 41 North 60th Street, right here in West Philadelphia. She called it May's Millinery Shop. She kept it open until 1993. That's almost 40 years. My mom, May Reeves, was active in the millinery business from 1941 to 1994. In 1994, she officially closed the shop after 53 years in the millinery business. Miss Lula Mae Reeves is now 96 years old and resides at the St. Francis Country House. I want you to know that she is healthy and as vivacious as ever. This hat that you see right here on this mannequin is a very special hat she made for me for an Easter bonnet. Now, for those of you who don't know much about hats, it's a very meticulous process. Over the years, I actually saw my mom use many types of molds and hat trimmings like this. This is how the hat actually starts, from a base like this. And once you get your hands on this, I would see my mom turn it into some wonderful works of art. But basically, it starts with this type of hat foam. Once she decided what the hat might become, the next part of the process is dealing with these wooden molds. As I was growing up, she had these wooden molds all over the store. There would be straw hats or felt hats, and from this process she would begin adding the trimmings onto the top of the hat. But she would use this to stretch the hat to make it so it would fit perfectly on the next customer's head. This is one of the hats that I found that I imagine came probably from her first hat shop on South Street. As you can see, it has a lot of detail work, and this is definitely the kind of style that women would wear during that era. May's Millinery Shop was famous for one thing: her feather creations. Women came from all up and down the East Coast. As I recall, women would come from Boston. They would take the train down from New York. And it would be because she was one of the few milliners in the Philadelphia, New York area who specialized in feathers. And we are very lucky because these feathers still exist today. In fact, this feather hat was my mom's favorite, and she never sold it. That's why we still have it today. We would get on the train at 30th Street here in Philadelphia, get off in New York, and travel all throughout the millinery district in New York City, buying up all kinds of beautiful flowers and trimmings and other things that she would be actually using to make the creations for Mother's Day and Easter. During those times, women would come from all over the city, from all over different other cities, so that they could have one of May's creations. From the time I was maybe 12 years old, I would be sitting with her and some of her friends and some of my aunts, and we would have the thread, and she would pin it and tell us where she wanted the flowers to go, and we would put it on, put it in the window within an hour or so. Some of those hats actually got sold just like that. Over here we have some more trimmings. She had these in all colors, all shapes, all sizes. If a lady would come in the shop and decided the trimming that was on the hat, she needed blue instead of pink, Mom would say, just a minute. She'd come over here, change the colors. The lady would walk out with the exact color that she needed on that particular hat. She was very good with her customers. Anything they wanted, she always made sure that the customer was always right. Over here we have a lot of these things, which I'm so happy that we've been able to save over the years. All of these different elements that go into making hats. Here's another, as you can see, this is a different shape of mold than the one I had before. But it was right here at this cash register, that's what we called it, where my mom actually made her money. I, again, during the busy times, Mother's Day and Easter, would stand behind here while she waited with the customer. She would bring the receipt over. I would open this drawer, pop the money in. We made a sale. Whenever we heard that little bell ring, we knew that May just made another sale and also made another customer very happy. Here's another pride and joy of May's Millinery Shop, her Singer sewing machine. I don't know how old it is, but I know it's been around as long as I have, and I have a few years. But sometimes you would hear her early in the morning, late at night. This sewing machine would be whizzing away because she would be taking fabric, changing it into something that she would actually put it on one of the hats that might be created the next day or so. Or she might have a bag of lace that she would use on, and she would add the lace to some of the creation. So this is really a very, very special thing in our family. It used to be the kind that you worked with your feet, but after a few years, I think she got tired of that and she changed it into an electric machine. But this is May's sewing machine. Here's another item from the collection at May's Millinery Shop. It's not a tea kettle, it's a steamer. This is an item that she would use to help shape the hats, and I can recall many times if a hat didn't quite have the right shape, she would send me back into the kitchen. I'd fill it up with water, call her when the steam came out. She would bring the hat. Somehow, with her magic hands, she would work the hat over the steam, and before you know it, the hat actually came back to its beautiful shape. She was also known for her turbans, and she would take a piece like this, which is not finished because this was just what we called a work in progress, and she would use this to practice how the pleats were actually going to end up on the creation, the final creation. So all of these hats in here are things that she kind of started, but she didn't finish. They were just samples so that she could, again, practice and make it into something very beautiful. I'm sure once she used this as her practice piece, the original got sold to one of her favorite clients. Now here's a sample of a turban that she actually finished, but for some reason it didn't sell. It's actually a very pretty color, and I just might take it home and wear it myself. Over the years, my mom had many, many, many fashion shows. I'm not sure of the date of this one yet, but I imagine it was early on in her career. You see, she is standing right over on the left-hand side, right next to the lady with the hat box. All of these women were good friends of hers, girlfriends you might say, who modeled in the shows that she would present. And this is one of those early pictures from one of May's fashion shows. Here's another fabulous creation. As I said earlier, May was known for her work in feathers. And this is another turban style that is in a felt. And it's just a beautiful design. And the lady who would wear this, believe me, she would really attract a lot of attention wearing a lovely hat like that. This is another one of her fabulous feather creations. Bright red, it almost looks like straight from a bird somehow. And again, it's just another work of art. I think this hat would probably be from around the 1950s or so. It looks like it has some age to it. Now, you might be wondering, what type of hats did May prefer for herself? Well, this is an original hat that she made that she would wear when she had to go to something special. She loved veils. She liked to keep it rather simple, but I can recall her wearing this many times to special occasions when she had her fashion shows and some other events where she had to make an appearance. But usually on the hats that she wore, she always put some kind of beautiful, elaborate veiling on it. And this is from her very own collection. The hat that I'm wearing is another from my mom's personal collection. I recall many days she would wear this to special occasions, to church. Sometimes she had speaking engagements at different places throughout the city. And this is a hat that she made, that she wore. And believe me, as you can imagine, of course, when she wore it, she would always get lots and lots of attention. Right now, we've moved over to the window of May's Millinery Shop. Over here, you can see the sign that would often be lit all day so that people would know May's Millinery Shop was open. This particular area, you can just this particular area would get redesigned every season, winter, spring, summer, and fall. On many occasions, I've had to stand inside this window to help decorate, lay things on the floor, help put some of the hats on the stand. And as you can see, there's traffic right here on 60th Street. Many times before we could even get the hats in the window, a lady would be driving by and the hat would be gone in a second. We'd have to put another one of her interesting creations in there. But this is her business. This is how she made her money. This is how she made women from all over Philadelphia and other regions very happy if they could come in and acquire one of her beautiful creations. But this is her window display of May's Millinery Shop. Besides her fabulous hats, my mom also had a few other items for the ladies that went along with their entire outfit. For example, while going through her collection, we found some of these beautiful lace gloves. These are gloves that you don't even see, you can't even buy anymore today. She also specialized in pocketbooks. We are assuming that this is quite an old pocketbook because the lining of the inside, it looks like it's kind of seen its day. But the most special purse that I found was this beautiful hand crocheted bag. I know this bag, I've seen it in vintage stores, must be from at least the 40s. And I can imagine my mom and her friends going out for a night on the town wearing a bag that was similar to this. I am standing here holding this dress because this is the dress that my mom, May Reeves, wore for the opening of this hat shop, May's Millinery Shop, when she first opened the store. As I recall, I was a very little girl. It was a grand opening. Folks came from all over. Photographers were here. And I actually have a picture of my mom, May, and my father, Joel, standing together in front of this mirror in this shop with my mom wearing this dress. It was right here at this table that I saw many, many ladies come into my mom's shop, try on hats. Sometimes they couldn't decide whether they liked it or not, but in most cases, they always walked out of this shop with something in their hands. So they would arrive, and this is the spot they would be. Sometimes the ladies would come in, and maybe they didn't feel too happy that day. So my mom would try to spruce them up. She would always have a little perfume on hand. She'd say, "Here, honey, let's put a little of this on to spruce you up a little bit." Sometimes they wouldn't even have any lipstick on, and she'd say, "You know what? You don't like that hat too well. You need some lipstick. Here, let's put a little lipstick on." And by the time she dolled the lady up with whatever they needed, makeup or lipstick, perfume, they would feel, okay, I must be ready to buy this hat now. So she really believed that you just couldn't walk in wearing baggy clothes or, not the right makeup and think the hat is going to look okay. So she would doll the ladies up so that the hat would be fine. And then they would sit here for sometimes hours, and they would use the mirror, and they would look this direction and they would look that direction. And my mom was very patient. She never rushed anyone because she knew that this was going to be something special in their lives. So she let them take their time, and she let them look, and then she let them preen, and she let them sigh, and she even let them tell stories about their families, their kids. She had all the patience in the world because she wanted that customer to be happy when she walked out of May's Millinery shop. For the past few days, our entire family has had a wonderful time going through May's treasures. But what you see here in my hand was one of the most exciting treasures of all. We found an advertisement, one of her first advertisements, probably from the 1940s, when she opened her first hat shop on South Street. Over the years, my mom had to make many signs in order to make this a successful venture. And here we found a sign that I actually made. I must have been a teenager, but this is a sign that was made by me, Donna. Now, this sign is another treasure because this particular shop was on a very busy street. It's near 60th and Market in West Philadelphia. Buses and taxi cabs and people driving, people walking. So sometimes my mom, when she wanted to actually have a big sale, would make a really big sign like this, pop it in the window, and before you know, the people would be coming in the droves. Because of this morning from the first shop. That was with and so lady, this is what they would come to her to buy: the hats, the lingerie, the
That was lingerie?
Yes,
wow.
Yeah. I don't know when they had time to get all dressed up and stuff like this, but they did. Okay. Now Sonny can tell you some things about the first hat shop because he's the oldest child. And when she was where she lived down in Georgia, you were born there?
Yeah.
He was born there, and he's from her first marriage to William Mincy. That was your dad's name. And so she left him there as a little boy to come up here and establish the business. And as soon as she got settled when he was 5. Now you go take the story from there.
I came here when I was 5 years old, and she had worked in the fashion industry on South Street, which was pretty popular back in the day because Philadelphia was still somewhat segregated. But South Street, Columbia Avenue, Ridge Avenue, those were the popular spots for black people, for shopping, etc. And Mom worked at Seymour's dress shop on South Street for a few years, and I think around 1941, she purchased a shop there at 1630 South Street, and she opened up her own shop, and she stayed there until 44, and that was during the war, so it was just a lot of activity going on there. And so she moved back out here to West Philadelphia, 59th Street, and from there to here. So.
But tell them about when you were a little boy, her shop. What did it look like?
Oh, the
'Cause
shop?
Yeah, the shop.
Well, it was, she had dresses and hats, gloves, lingerie, underwear, you know, for ladies. And she has the whole, just everything that a woman's apparel. And customers would come from everywhere. It was, in fact, that there's a sign, that her first poster that she had, that was in the that was posted in Afro American newspaper. Yeah.
Okay.
And so a lot of the when the entertainers would come to Philadelphia, they would come to Mays. In fact, she was a friend of Joe Lewis' sister from Chicago. She would come here, and she would always stop in and buy something for Mom, and many of the other.
I think she told me other names like Eartha Kitt.
Yeah, Lena Horne.
Eartha Kitt,
all
Lena
those folks,
Horne.
you know, they would show up at Mays. Yeah. Many of the entertainers, and
Right.
a lot of the soldiers, they would bring their girlfriends in and buy things for them. So it was a popular spot, you know, and I just remember the good days from there.
So, because I recall also hearing from, I don't know Philadelphia's history very well, but there were a lot of studios in downtown Philadelphia, so you did have a lot of celebrity film folk people coming through.
Well,
I think that happened. The studios like Kenny Gamble and those.
No, that was
Earlier.
after.
Later. That was in the
After.
60s.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That was in the 60s.
Yeah, but back then that was from 41 until 44. She had that shop, and it was just a thriving shop. But then she said that she didn't want me to grow up on South Street, so she moved to West Philadelphia.
And why was that?
Well, I guess
It was
just, you know,
changing.
it was just a busy street. You know, it was a street that everything went on. You know, a lot of things went on, and she didn't want me in that environment. So she came out to West Philadelphia, and that's started her new venture.
Can I ask you, did you ever hear her talk about NAFAB or any professional organizations that she may have joined?
Not really, no. Mostly she was with the Women's Business Association. That was like a black professional, you know, organization. It was called the Women's Business Association. That's all I remember.
Would you say that the shop that was down on South Street, was that the same size as this or smaller?
It might have been, maybe
Was it
perhaps.
also the residence there?
Yeah, I was a residence too.
Okay.
We also lived there.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we lived in the back of the store, in the back of the shop.
Oh, okay.
But it was probably about the same size as this.
How was she able to get like more dresses and all that, dresses and pocketbooks? This couldn't even fit that. She had bigger cases or something?
No. She had, you know, they were hung they had a window, they hung them in the window. And then she had them in boxes, etc. And then a lot of people would come in and order something.
Right.
She might just had the one size.
Model.
Right. And then someone would come in and say, I need this in a certain size, and she would get that.
Sample. So did you ever help out in the store?
I was a cleanup person. I was too young to do anything.
I wasn't born, so when she got me, it was sort of, I was her secondhand, you know, helper. See, there's a lady who, her bill was $75, she paid $25, and they would come in every week paying $25. People don't do layaway anymore.
Not so much.
No.
That's a lot of money for back then for a hat.
Yes, yes.
Now, she did sometimes, and you'll see in some of these hats, order hats that were already made that she could sell a little less expensively than handmade hats. And this was one of the companies that her and I would go to New York, and I can show you some of those as well. Okay, this I wanted you to say, this was her brother, Jack. He was a bachelor. The ladies flocked to May's Millinery Shop because he was a salesman here. And he would get dressed up every day, just like that, from the time I was born until he died in 1903. He was here every day. While she was making the hats or doing other things, he was the salesman in the shop. And the ladies came because Mr. Jack, anything he told them to put on,
They would
they would put it on.
Put on and buy.
Yeah.
So that's her brother Jack Grant, and that's why I just kept that. The book, I don't know what this, she didn't put the date, but somehow this meant something, you know, something for a 5-9. I think that this is how much they owed or something, I don't know. See, he talking about hats remodeled, $16, no date here, but, stuff.
Okay, just how she kept her business and made her business.
Yeah. But this is something down here. So precious. More bills, more receipts. You know, this is she would order things from, I said New York, so this would be something from one of those places where she ordered supplies or other things. I am trying to see, there was something in here. Guess it's in another box. Okay, business cards, I saved all of those, some are old, some are new. So, that's for her business cards. But these are this is the best example I could find so far of her record keeping. Non-computerized.
Maybe a lot in
More threads and stuff, yeah. I don't know what that's for. Anyway, I'll leave it in there as is. There was one special thing I was looking for, but I can't find it. Something about the bills. Oh, these again, I think these are some really old buttons that she took off from something to put on something else, so.
not years, man.
You would think that'd disintegrate by now. That thing in her hand.
No.
Yeah, don't touch it too much.
That'll last forever.
No, the paper.
The
That's
paper
why I
are
read
like-
it. Over here. Let's see. Now we get to the turbans. She would specialize in turbans, but she would make up a sample before, so this would be an example of something that she would kind of put together, you know, let's say see Dolores Tucker, somebody came in, because, I don't know, it's very intricate to do this. So she would do this, and then she would save this to go back to make the real thing when the person came with their material, because a person like C. Dolores, she would always want everything to match.
Right.
And so my mom would use this to say, so this is the shape you want, and then she would bring the material and the lady would do it from there. This turban is totally different than this turban. A turban is not a turban, is not a turban. And here's another one that I saved because this is really a work in progress. I don't even think she ever got that finished, you know, she just whipped it up, and then she would use this to say, oh, so you don't want the turban this big, you want it this big. Yeah,
right.
just so when people would come in and give these orders, she would know what they want, so they would be happy, and she wouldn't feel like she was wasting her time.
Right.
Here's another one that she didn't finish. Again, she would just use it as a sample. Yeah, now you want something like this, Miss Hattie? Oh, like that. And they would sit here and talk, you know, and then the lady would come back and bring her own material, and my mom would make it from that. So that's her turban thing. Right, this is another one that came from the first hat shop down there. And now I'm glad we didn't. All those years we would be clearing out. Here's another one. Get that.
What is that you call again, that weave?
Oh, this is myelin straw.
The myelin.
And then she would, you know, do all that handiwork around there. So this was a lot of work. This was like really labor intensive. Here's another one, I think from the 70s or something, same thing, that kind of thing. But people would come from all over the East Coast because she was famous for her feathers. Is that a beauty? I'm gonna try it on for you just so you can see. That's how something like that would look. I'm even gonna put this on here, but here's another one. I think some of these were her own collection because she loved, loved these feather things. So a lot of these feather hats I found upstairs in her bedroom because she just didn't want to even sell them to anybody. Isn't that something? Let's see. I don't want to stretch anything.
She'd be having a duck. the other intern that works with me.
Oh, Kathy, so.
This is how that goes. Here's something, sometimes I think you saw sheep dealt in fur, that's Persian lamb.
Grandma had a coat, I didn't get it.
Yeah, no.
My niece
but
has it.
The
It's
ladies would want the hat to match the coat. And so they would come in with the coat, and then they would go to their furrier and get some more, and she would come back and she would make the hat for them. So I put all the felt things, basically I put the oldies, what do you call it?
That's a weapon there, boy.
I don't know.
Yes.
That's just a
That's a
sample.
weapon.
I have a roommate in college who carried one in her purse. So
Yeah.
stick it on the outside of your purse, this is your weapon.
Sandy, you get that? She saved, she's, over the years would save and say, here, take this, you need this on the hat.
This would be your dress lighter for when you go out.
And you open it up and you put it over your head.
Over your hat.
Or your hat.
Yeah. Well, my sister still carries one.
Like that.
Right, right.
And then you just snap it and you roll it up and it goes in your purse.
You don't see those.
But I
I
don't know.
hazard a guess if she had these faces.
Custom made?
Oh, hold this up, you gotta see
Oh.
that.
Got the
And
On
you
these
tell-
britches.
How old are you now?
I'm not telling that.
Okay.
You're years older than those britches.
Yeah, a few years older than these trousers.
But we took them to
Yeah.
my mom, and she said she saved them just for memory's sake because when they sent him from down south, that was in his luggage, and she just wanted to remember the hard
These were
times.
just my favorite.
Your favorite. That's why they hang. That doesn't mean she let you wear them here.
Yeah.
Once you got here.
Yeah, they're my
And
favorite.
you're not,
Yeah.
running
I
around.
like them because they had this little thing and it had the one strap here
Hanging.
hanging back,
Go on, is that too cute? Well, that once he saw that, he didn't come ask me nothing else. He knew that I better take my time. And then we took it and showed it to her at the nursing home, and she told the whole story, and his mouth was hanging open. Mom, she said, yeah, these came up, they sent these in your little trunk when you came up from Georgia. And I know I'm not supposed to do this, but his grandmom probably did this. Put all those things, saved those patches.
Patches on.
This is what you got to see though, baby. That is some handiwork there. Okay, and then that's what it looked like on the other side.
Yes,
I don't know how she got all these patches going, but these are
That's
his
what you
pants
did. You didn't
from
even
when he was 5 years old. So,
Mm-hmm.
that is just too precious. She put a little
Grandma
heart on
sent you
there
home
for you.
with
She
a little
started out
heart.
with a little heart.
I'll take it, I'll take it.
Okay, so these are part of the collection.